Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers, sisters, viewers, friends of Ikra TV. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I'm your host Iqbal Bana. As I say every day when I come into your homes, thank you for allowing me to come into your homes. Every week I try and bring something of interest to members of viewers of Ikra TV. Something that they may find useful, interesting, and something from which they may gain something and maybe learn and implement in their day-to-day lives. Today, I want to talk about sports and its role, its impact within our communities. Particularly, I want to talk about rugby. But before we get into this discussion debate, I can't get away from the fact as to what is happening to the people of Palestine at this moment in time. You would have seen on your news screens and your radios as well the devastating effect that is going on by the incursions that Israel is likely to be making on Gaza and the people of Gaza. Now, there's a big debate there about Hamas and what they did and how they've sort of kidnapped so many people. And there's obviously conflict going on there. We'd urge both sides of the conflict to make sure that, those conflicts ends very quickly and that, peace is returned to the people of Gaza and Israel itself. Israel has the right to remain, has the right to be determination of its own state, but so do the people of Palestine, and we need to respect that as well. And we know that over the last 70, 80 years, that one particular side has been flaunting and disregarding United Nations conventions on human rights, as well as the ability of the people of Palestine to have a two-state solution. So please remember our brothers and sisters in Gaza in particular and the wider area of Israel, where there's all sorts of possible atrocities that could be committed on all sides, but we know which side has got the might at this moment in time. Also be mindful of what the media is portraying to you, because we know for a fact that we're getting a one-dimensional view at the moment, and that the other side is not being given the opportunity to put their side of the case. So again, I wish and I ask you to be mindful of both sides and listen to both sides of the argument and the justification from each side that they're trying to make. So let me move now to the subject of the day. We have over the last many years seen a decline in physical activity across all communities. We have seen more and more of our young people generally, but particularly in our community, move away from physical activity. And as a consequence of that, we've seen a decline in people's mental as well as physical well-being. And today I have two very important people who join me who have been involved in rugby. Now, not many people from the Asian subcontinent have really engaged in the game of rugby. Now, rugby has two codes, there's the league and the union, and sometimes I get confused between the difference between the two, but I know one has more players than the other, and also sometimes the rules are slightly different. But I have two experts, one of whom is not a stranger. You will have seen him on my program on a number of occasions, on a number of guises. I mean, Ikram Butt, who was the first Muslim of Pakistani origin to play for England, and now I also have Junaid Malik, who's also of Pakistani origin, came into this country at the age of 7, and for whatever reason he was not interested in cricket, but he joined rugby, and good luck to him, and he has been involved in rugby at a different level. And for the first time I've come across somebody who's played for rugby for Great Britain as well as for Pakistan at an amateur level, which is something I've never thought I would ever come across. So this, we'll talk more about that. But we've seen, as I say, a decline in physical activity. As you can see from me, I've never been really into physical activity, and that's the reason I am the way I am. If I was, then I would have been probably, 5 stones slimmer and much more fitter and much more healthier. I wish I would have joined Ikram and his colleagues when I was much younger. So both of you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Real Talk. Thank you, Ikram. This is not the first time for you. You have been my guest on many occasions, and welcome you again.
Thank you.
I love having you on here. But Junaid Malik, you're the first time you're here.
No,
You've been enjoying rugby as well, and you're also part of the rugby, British Asian Rugby Association. That's as correct. Well. Both of you, aren't you?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that and what it stands for, what it does, etc. But Ikram, obviously, as I say, the first Muslim to play for England at rugby, Great Britain or England, both?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
And that was a milestone, many years ago. And I know we've spoken to you about this. How did you find that experience? I mean, first of all, you started in West Yorkshire. Was it Featherstone or?
I actually started in Leeds.
Was it Leeds? You played for Leeds Rhinos as well.
I did. Well, they were named Leeds Lorners then. But may I start by echoing your sentiments about our Palestinian brothers and sisters? Our prayers are with them, and we are in positions of influence. Should use our voice at every opportunity to speak out, and times now more than ever to do so.
Definitely. Yeah. We have always tried to make sure that we try to balance both sides of the story, but we know over the years, that the people in Gaza in particular, it's been described as the world's biggest open air prison, and the conditions that they live in is just absolutely atrocious.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. And therefore, we need to be mindful of that, and we need to remember that these people are fighting for freedom, for independence as well. So we'll come back to that, and I think and there is a big demonstration taking place on Wednesday, I've been informed, in Bradford at the Centenary Square. So anybody in Bradford area who wants to join them to show their support for what is going on to the people of Palestine, and particularly of Gaza, then they can do so. And there are people from the Jewish community there who are going to be attending that event as well, because not all Jews are Zionists, and not all Jews want to see people of Israel or people of Palestine oppressed. There are some Jews who see that as an anathema and doesn't agree with their faith as well. So, thank you, Ikram, for that.
You're welcome.
Junaid, obviously, you probably share the same sentiments as well.
Like Ikram said, we're in a position of influence, and hopefully we can get a message across that our governments and our MPs, local councillors, come forward, speak out, and take some action. And obviously, there's been fatalities on both sides.
Oh yes.
But there's more so on the Palestinian side.
It's been declared as an apartheid state.
Yeah.
I remember, I met Nelson Mandela on 3 occasions. Fortunately, in my life, I've been very lucky. And when South Africa was an apartheid state, the world recognized it, but they're failing to recognize the apartheid state that is a condition that people are living in Gaza and West Bank, etc. So we need to be mindful of that. But yeah, thank you very much. Coming back, go on.
I was going back to say, sport can play a large part in this matter.
Sport was one of the fundamental reasons why the apartheid state of South Africa was affected by the actions of Peter Hain, for example.
That's correct.
Right, Peter Hain, who was a young student at that time, he started the anti-apartheid movement.
Yes.
And he was the one who started the campaign against the South African cricket team.
That's right.
And that mushroomed into a major boycott of South Africa.
Mandela, when the Rugby Union World Cup was hosted in South Africa, Mandela had a large part in bringing all those communities together and breaking down those, apartheids, to an extent where he had one so-called black man speaking to over 100,000 people, and he made a really powerful speech which got everybody quite emotional and in tears.
Nelson Mandela obviously was a unique person. As I say, I've been fortunate. I've met him 3 times in my life, and I could talk about it for a long time, but I won't. So let's come back to rugby. Rugby obviously is an alien sport to somebody of the Asian subcontinent, by and large. Right? Cricket is a religion in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh.
It's massive, yeah.
It's absolutely huge. Football is something that people, when they came over here, the first and second generation, now even the third and fourth generation, are more tuned to football. But people like yourself, when you came here, were you not attracted to cricket, the traditional sport that your parents and everybody else followed? And what was the attraction of rugby? I know we've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
So,
I'll let Junaid start this journey, because his journey is quite
You look like a rugby player anyway.
I'll put a bit of weight, so I'm really tired from playing. But I played cricket at club level, football at school, but rugby, I went to rugby by the off chance. My local club, Elland, where I live over in Elland, Halifax, and my local primary school, they got flyers from Elland. We started a junior team, so my younger brother, he goes, I want to go play rugby. Obviously, back in them days, your parents didn't take you, so the elder sibling, I'll take you to the park up the road. And so I went there. I was too old to play for that age group, but they said, do you want to just train? I trained and I was more than natural, and I've been playing rugby ever since. So
Right.
it just
And
addiction.
then that progressed to where? You
So
rugby league?
Rugby league, Ellen. So I played in the juniors. I made my first team open age debut at 16. I captained the first team at 18 years old.
Well,
Played for Yorkshire under 18s. Played for Yorkshire at open age, and then I got full international honours for the amateur rugby league team, Great Britain amateur rugby league team. So against France twice, Morocco once, and I captained Yorkshire against the touring Australian Aborigines at Wakefield back in 2002, I think.
right. All
Yeah.
right.
Fantastic
Yeah,
achievement.
and we had a pretty good Ellen team where I played. So I think when I was captain, we won. We used to play in the Pennine League. We won the Premier Division, I think 5 times on the bounce, 2 Yorkshire Cup, 2 Pennine Cups, and we played a few professional teams in the Challenge Cup.
All right.
So yeah, it's been a good journey, and I'm still involved in Elland today. I'm still coaching on Elland. My little son, my eldest boy, he just started playing in the tots,
Right.
in the juniors, under 6s. So, and yeah, I still live in Elland, so it's a big part
So
of
it's
my life.
part of your life, is it?
Yeah, it's ingrained in my blood.
Well,
so
I mean, I've asked you this question when you were on my program before. One of the issues that a lot of people, Black, African, Caribbean, as well as Asian people, have found in sports generally, but in the wider society as well, is this issue of racism. I mean, when you were young, I remember when I was young, when I came to this country, every weekend on a Friday we used to get beaten up because there was only about 15, 20 Asian people in the school, kids in the school, and then they started letting us go early, so that we could get away from the white boys before they left school. Now, did you have similar experiences? I mean, that could have happened in school, but then what about in the rugby teams?
Yeah.
personally, I had a few taunts on the pitch, and a few words here and there, like the P word. Can we swear? I'm not swearing. But you so and so.
Name calling.
Yeah, a lot of name calling.
Around your ethnicity.
Yeah, around your ethnicity, and I took it at the chin, and obviously I let my rugby do the talking. And after the game, they knew I'd got the better of them, so that shut them down. So I've had a few instances, but luckily it's been pretty good. I'm not sure about Ikram's experiences.
Growing up in the heart of Leeds, a stone's throw away from the famous Headley Stadium where cricket is played and also rugby league, it was quite much diverse and something which I really subscribed to. So we had a really good upbringing, a very friendly, diverse environment. But when you're playing for school and you're going to other areas where it's predominantly white, then we came up against lots of discrimination, racism and prejudice, which at the time we didn't know really how to deal with it. And like
I think it's when you got to the old mining towns, when you go playing the Castleford, Wakefield, Wakeham, played at Featherstone, and them ends when there's no Asian, so you might the odd occasion you're going to get some grief because they're not used to it. They haven't seen a coloured person or a brown person, Pakistani person, whatever. They're not in them areas. I think nowadays people everywhere out there, so there's a lot more mixing people in these areas. But 20 years ago, 25 years ago, they weren't there.
Yeah, but it was not just the other fellow players that you had, like the white players, for example.
Yeah.
But even the institution itself, and some of the officials, right, were racist, out and out racist in those days, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
we're going to be going for a break soon.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope you find this interesting so far. But obviously, one of the big issues that is affecting us as a community at the moment in time is lack of engagement in physical activity in our young people. And some of that is having a huge impact on the well-being, both mental and physical, of not only young people, but also their parents and families as well. So, inshallah, we'll come back. In the meantime, take care. I'll be back with you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Islam.